Let's get on with the November Fast Track. So, as you guys know, the season is winding down now. There's not much else going on. There might be a few more events for your local regions, but aside from that, it's time to roll into the changes for the 2025 season. Now, the November Fast Track just came out, and there isn't a lot. It's pretty much just finalizing the ST changes. So if you guys don't know, back in July, there was a Fast Track that put out a proposal that they wanted all the members to write in and give their input on it. Now, what this is, and this Fast Track will confirm this and lay it all out, is that they are changing the nomenclatures for the street touring classes and also adding one, maybe two. I know about the one. Either way, they finally approved and finalized the lettering, I guess, of it. So instead of STH per se, it's going to now be GST. We'll get to that in a minute. But aside from that, there's nothing else major in here, and once again, no mention of the GR Corolla. So don't know what's going on there. I'm not gonna say anything, get my hopes high, but maybe the December Fast Track will have something about them going back to D Street. Maybe, please. But anyways, let's get on with the November Fast Track. So, as usual, starting with the recommended items section. Starting with street touring category. So we have a Super Impreza 2.5 RS to STH. The S-Tech has recommended the following change. So they're going from STS to STX. Wait a minute. That's a little bit strange. There's a lot of ST classes going on here. So the Super Impreza 2.5 RS to STH was the letter, and they recommended a change from STS to STX instead. Okay, exclusion of the 2018 BRZ TS from STX. So if I remember right, the TS has like some suspension, some stiffer frame welds or something. I'm not too sure about that, but it's excluded from STX. Recommended proposal in response to member input regarding letter blah blah blah. Now this is where we're getting on to the ST changes, right? So the recommended proposal in response to the member input regarding letter 36154 from July. The STAC thanks the membership for their feedback on letter 36154, and in response, the STAC is recommending the following set of changes. 1, creating a new class, A Street Touring. So it is just the 1, not 2. So A Street Touring is a new class, and it's going to have wheel and tire allowances from STR with all the other allowances per STU. And they have a whole list of what those are going to be in another page down below. But so here is AST. It's going to have Chrysler Crossfires, Fiat Spiders, Honda S2Ks, the Miatas 2016 to 2024, so the NDs, Mazda Speed Miata from 04 to 05, Pontiac Solstice GXP, and the Saturn Sky Redline. The listings in Appendix A are as follows. In SST, they took out the Crossfire, Solstice, and Sky Redline, put them in AST. In CST, they put in the S2K non-CR. So, okay, that's right. The S2K CR is in AST, whereas in CST, the Honda S2K non-CR is there. The MX-5 Miata, so the Miatas from 2006 up to 2015 are all in CST. And in BST, they took out the Spider, the Fiat Spider, and the Mazda Speed Miata. Now, renaming the street touring classes is to better align with the other categories, with the full list of class names as follows. So we already went over this in prior videos for it, but if you weren't around for that, here you go. So we are now going to have SST, AST, BST is taking over for STU, CST for STR, DST for STX, and EST for STS, and GST right here for STH. It is not the S-Tax intention. This is a good note from them, I must admit. It is not the STAC's intention to directly align street touring classes with the corresponding street classes. The STAC has felt that GST is a more appropriate class name to replace STH because it corresponds far more with the cars that are classed in G Street than those in F Street. That's fair. That is fair, because as you can see, they skipped F. There's no FST. Associated updates to Section 14 are as follows. So here they're going to list like the classes and what cars fit into the classes per se, like naturally aspirated, turbo, etc. So in Super Street Touring, it is going to be primarily mid and large size high performing sports cars and coupes. A Street Touring, primarily small and mid size high performing sports cars and coupes. B Street Touring, previously STU, primarily mid to high power and performing sports cars, coupes, and all-wheel drive sedans and hatchbacks. C Street Touring, which used to be STR, primarily low to medium powered roadsters and coupes. D Street Touring, previously STX, primarily medium powered, coupes and sedans, mostly rear wheel drive with some performance matching all wheel drive mixed in. E Street Touring, formerly STS, primarily low power sedans, coupes, and older high performing rear wheel drive and front wheel drive cars. And GST, formerly STH, primarily mid to large size turbocharged cars. So tires. Now this is interesting, and I know they listed that the STR wheel and tire specs are going to be used for AST. It seems pretty damning for the all-wheel drives though. So here they are, right? So the tire specs on these classes: AST all-wheel drive, CST all-wheel drive, and EST can only have a max of 225 tire width. DST all-wheel drive, GST all-wheel drive, 245, AST two-wheel drive, CST two-wheel drive, 255. We'll come back to this in a second. So DST two-wheel drive, GST two-wheel drive, 265, BST all-wheel drive, rear wheel mid-engine, and rear wheel forced induction will have 295 max, and BST rear wheel drive NA and front wheel drives are 315, where SST is unlimited. Now, going back up to the AST tires, AST two-wheel drive, 255, okay, cool. AST all-wheel drive, 225. This is cool as far as like tire costs go, right? So since you have the max tire allowances for these cars, it does make sense. But the only thing I'm thinking about is, especially with the ND Miatas, right? Having 255 tires, I think they're already running those as is. Giving an all-wheel drive car 225s to work with, you know, I get it. It's an all-wheel drive car, but it just seems kind of stringent with just 225s, you know? They're pushing a lot more weight, especially in the front. So I feel like the all-wheel drive cars in AST might just not be able to push as hard as they should be able to, but that's just me. Other than that, I think that this is a pretty clear cut and a pretty good starting point, at least for the new classing updates for street touring. I think this is going to be good. All right, moving on to the wheels. So AST all-wheel drive, CST all-wheel drive, and EST have a max width of 7.5. DST all-wheel drive, 8-inch wheels. AST two-wheel drive, CST two-wheel drive, DST and GST will have a max width of 9, and BST 11, and SST unlimited as the tires were. Engine and drivetrain, all they did here was just update the nomenclature. So instead of, they added AST in here, took out STU, put it BST, took out STH, GST. This is talking about the forced induction engines. Same thing here, added AST, took out STU, made it BST, STH, and GST. Same things down here. If you really wanted to go through them, you can. They're right here. But that's it for the street touring changes. I think this is going to work out well. I think that not even just the nomenclature changes and little things like that. I feel like the more diversity of cars in obviously a new class as well, it'll shake things up a bit. I think it'll be a good, refreshing start to the 2025 season, and just new classes. And they are new classes in general, with new cars. A few little tweaks to the specs and stuff like that. So I think it'll be good. What do you guys think? Post your opinions up in the comments. Moving along, street prepared category. Honda Accord, they want to... What do they want to do? Take out the 1982 through 2012 Accords, I guess? Okay, so what they did... Okay, so instead of having 82 to 12, they just staggered them out. Okay. That's cool, I guess. Mercury Capri, they took out the Capri from ESP and put it to FSP. Rules, question, and comments on limited prep. So the S-Pack is recommending the following rule addition. Electronic differentials may be reprogrammed. The allowance only applies to changing differential behaviors and does not extend to reprogramming any other components. They also wanted to expand limit prep options. They are recommending the following change to Appendix A, CSP Lotus, Elise, Exige, Naturally Aspirated 2005-2011 limited prep. Okay, cool. Member advisories. Great Lakes Division, the SCBA has approved the Solo Safety Committee's recommendation to appoint David Fainer as the new divisional solo safety steward of the Great Lakes Division. So congrats to him, GG's. Street category, request for clarification on street class exhaust allowance rules. Yeah, that's a little bit interesting. I'm pretty sure it's pretty well written, if I'm not mistaken. The SAC believes the wording of this is adequate as written. I agree. Street touring category, is Cobb TC legal? And if you guys don't know, TC is traction control, legal in ST. The STAC feels that if it is implemented solely via the allowances of 14.10 F1A, then the Cobb traction control is considered legal. Repercussions of coming from street category shock allowance change. The SEB and STAC remind members that the street category shock absorber rules are changing. Per 14.1, this change affects street touring shock allowances accordingly. Wait a minute. Let me look at that really quick. That is a little bit interesting. Let's go back to the September Fast Track really quick. So in the September Fast Track, it has this request for feedback about the OEM shocks and just the shocks and street class and stuff in general. And what they came out with was what became abundantly clear throughout the effort is that there is no obvious correlation between the type of shocks being run by the competitors and finished positions obtained. They didn't really do anything. Okay, that's right. The only change that they did was take out in Super Street class about their adaptive ride control and stuff. That was the only change. So whatever, that's that. And the last thing in the member advisories, prepared category, clarification of roll bar for open vehicle, just clarifies that. I mean, if you're into the prepared, it talks about if you have a retractable hardtop and all this other stuff. So there you go. There's some clarification on that if you need it. Change proposals, is Cobb TC legal? Once again, yes. So the STAC is seeking membership feedback on the following clarification. They will put in blah, 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 consistent with the allowances of what we just read off, 1410 F1A, about allowances for this type of thing. Prepared category, alternate motor clarification. Apparently they're trying to change wording a little bit, or specs, I guess. The pack is soliciting member feedback on removing or reducing the alternate engine weight adjustment of 10% for D, E, and F prepared. So if you're into that, give this a look. I don't know how big of a deal this is, but it might just be like one of those nitpicky things that has annoyed people and they want to get rid of it or something. So there's that. And here we are with the misfit inputs, the not recommendeds, the other items reviewed, handled elsewhere, and that's really it. There's nothing else. Oh, one thing. So about the changes for street touring, those, I'm not sure exactly when they're taking effect. I feel like it's going to be next season, obviously with all these changes being put out, but it's kind of weird. They didn't specify it in this fast track, but over here it says, unless indicated otherwise, the implementation date for all new proposals published herein is January 1st, 2026. But if you go to July's fast track, it will list that the effective date for this group of changes would be January 1st, 2025. So I think they might have just forgot to put it into the November fast track. And I think that this nomenclature from the September fast track is what they're sticking with. So I'm gonna shoot for January 1st, 2025 as being the official start date for these new street touring changes. Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about the new ST changes, like going into effect officially now, and any little things we pointed out in this November fast track. And if you enjoy the video as usual, please like it, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and ring the bell so you guys be notified of more fast track news like this, more of my racing stuff, and other content coming to this channel soon. And till next time, guys, keep going fast.